What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the yellow color, playing as Zeus. His name is Squash. His opponent today in the teal color, playing as Uranus. His name is Army Corps. His final partner of the game, squaring out their team of three in the green color, playing as Set. His name is TSM Player. Their opponents today in the purple color, playing as Hades. His name is Skady. Did I say opponent before? I probably did. His partners today in the blue color, playing as Ra. His name is Mariano. And finally, rounding out the team in the red color, playing as Loki. His name is Ninho. Yo. Now, this is what we like to call a community team game. Unfortunately, we do not have an observer in this game, so I will not be able to show you fancy stats over onto the side. I'll try and move around in the players that I'm looking at to some degree and see how we go. But a very, very interesting matchup here, nonetheless. Ninho playing as the Loki, Mariano is the Ra, and Skady is the Hades. It's a little bit of a strange team composition. The synergy here, not necessarily the best, but not necessarily the worst. The problem is that the Ra player here and the Hades player, they're kind of defensive gods. They want to sit back a little bit and see what happens. The Loki player, he wants to get active and see if he can get something to happen really, really early. And if he doesn't have a team that wants to do that with him, he's often subjected to a lot of problems. Now, the lucky thing here for Ninho is that the most terrifying opponent for the Loki would be the Zeus, and Squash is on the other side of the map. So he's not going to be too much worried about some mass hoplites coming in to take him out. However, talking about the composition that Squash, Army Corps, and our player have, this is a much, much more rounded composition of aggression. This composition wants to be aggressive. The Uranus has got the speedier units. He can join up with his teammates wherever he wants. Set's got the shifting sands. He can help at any point with either shifting sands villages to start setting up somewhere with some barracks. Alternatively, he can go for a shifting sands time bomb of sorts and make that work as well. So lots and lots and lots of different options here for Team Squash. We're going to call them Team Squash because that's just the easiest way to go. Squash here, kind of known for his Zeus in a way. He's definitely got one of the stronger team game Zeuses out there. Same too with TSM Player, but obviously a bit of an offensive here, taking a little bit casual, a little bit, not as seriously going in with something just that little bit different. Over on the other side, though, I'm interested to see exactly what Team Skady is going to be planning here. How they're going to kind of cradle Ninho through the early game so that he can then take advantage of what makes Loki really, really strong, which is things like the flaming weapons timing, things like side builds, things like Rampage Loki or Fenris Wolfroots later. All those kind of things really, really strong for Loki, but oftentimes he ends up having a very, very tough early game. So we'll see how it's going to go. Wall's starting to come up. Ninjo's definitely a little bit scared about this one. He has sent his villagers forward here, which may or may not be an issue. Now let's take a quick look over at TSM Player and see what's happening here. He has clicked up through Tar. He looks as if he's gone for a 4:30-ish advance time, and he is indeed building the priests. He doesn't have himself the Hands of the Pharaoh upgrade just yet to boost that Pharaoh up. But the big thing is, and I think this is something that maybe set players need to consider, is that you don't necessarily need to bring your Pharaoh to make this sort of damage happen, as we do see the vision down and the units have been missed over here. We see the shifting sands into the main base of Ninho. One villager does go down. Sentinels comes down for Skady, and TSM player has to go and leave immediately here. He does know that there's some units over here, but we'll have to see what Ninho is going to be doing to defend on this position as the Hearse are coming over. We're going to take this off the fog of war for now so I can see the minimap a little bit better. It's going to be missing some things because what we are seeing from Squash here is going for an immediate second town center. So no aggression coming out of Squash. A little bit interesting if you ask me. That being said, TSM player, he's also going for the second town center on the back here. A little bit delayed because the Pharaoh's not there, but very, very standard play here in terms of the defensiveness as we see Mariano getting himself a second town center. We also see Skady getting himself a second town center. So no real surprises as the priest getting chased down by the line. Villagers coming back over here. There are a handful of Hersa already out. This army of TSM player might look scary, but in actuality, the Hersa should be able to win here. But the Ox Cart getting taken down. Great micro here from TSM player at this point. We do see Ninho turning around onto the priest. You definitely want to continue to chase down the Pharaoh. Sniping the Wadget is a must here as well, as we do see that happening as the Pharaoh are going to get taken out, pushed back. We see the rain coming through for Mariano as well as Pharaoh down, Priest down. This Herso getting almost picked off, saved. Lots of damage here onto Ninho. I mean, one villager, one ox cart for a Pharaoh and a bunch of priests. Honestly, if you ask me, that's actually advantage Norse, because that Pharaoh dying for so long is just so many resources lost. If that Pharaoh was, say, on this hunt here, would be giving himself an extra villager or two worth of villager production, and having him dead and idle for so long. I mean, it's basically the same thing as what he's inflicted onto Ninho. So all it basically means is the town center comes up a little bit later and things are a bit slow. We'll have to see if Ninho is going to be able to bounce back and be completely fine here, and what's going to happen moving on. Because the thing is, Army Corps, he is on the move. Ladies and gentlemen, he is looking for something to hit of Ninho's. He does not want to give Ninho the light of day here to kind of deal with what's happening, or not deal with what's happening, but like the light of day in order to kind of make his presence felt on the map. As the Army Corps units will be looking to attack these villages on the gold mine. There is one very low HP dwarf. Good reaction time there from Ninho as the dwarf does manage to get away. Doesn't lose that one. The sentinels and town centers getting some good damage done as Army Corps has to retreat back. Meanwhile, we have seen Squash here. He's gone for an immediate third town center. So huge boom here coming through for Squash. Skady, on the other hand, he's already built these military buildings and he's starting to produce some military units. He should be wanting to grab that town center. He's going to be giving a huge timing over to Squash in this game if he doesn't get that town center up soon, because Squash is just going to be pumping villages out, getting that income coming much faster. And those military units, they need to do something. Otherwise, life's going to be really tough for Skady moving forward. Meanwhile, Mariano, he's hit the heroic age. He's getting up that Migdol stronghold. It's a nice advance time, 8 minutes and 10 seconds, which is very good for a two-town center Ra play here. As this is becoming a very standard thing for Ra to do in the team games. There are some very, like we already saw a problem here that could have been resolved from Mariano actually playing a little bit differently. And this is something I am loath to give away, but I want to give away the strategies when I can. And basically, the idea is if you're playing a team game and Set is on the other side of the team and you're playing as Ra, you have a responsibility to your team to advance by 4:30. Maybe even advance at 4:16. Why? Because if your opponent, the Set player, goes for a Shifting Sands play, you can Shifting Sands all of the units to your town center, and that will allow all the villagers to garrison into the town center, and you will be able to pick off all of the Set units without taking any damage. And it's a big counter to any sort of that early game cheese that the Set player does, and you're going to be able to basically force the Set player to not want to do that anymore. And basically do it enough times, and then you can start metagaming a little bit, saying, I know my opponent's not doing that, so I'm going to grab the town center and advance a little bit later, like players are doing in the meta with these town centers coming up. So we do see the rock here for Mariano coming over, but Odysseus is red hot on those tracks, chasing that rock down. Watchtowers comes up, rock flies away. The Odysseus is not quite going to be able to take this one down just yet, but should still be in hot pursuit of that one as the Herser. And now moving across the map here, going to be looking for some raids onto TSM players. TSM players now hit the heroic age a very, very late advance time as the Locust gets dropped down. We'll be able to pick off 4 villages, not a huge amount, but does get a fairly decent Locust off there as the Herser are moving forward in onto this position over here. And I mean, this is going to be a tough one for TSM player to hold. He has to retreat back, jumping into the town center. He needs to get himself up in Migdol's stronghold. The cavalry are getting taken down nicely, but TSM player just taking it as one step at a time as Army Corps. He needs to get over here. He's finally got his army coming in, going to be taking out the Iron Hiar over here. Villagers getting pulled off, jumping into towers as the Herser are roaming around this base of TSM player, not retreating away at all. Meanwhile, raids coming through here for Army Corps, not yet found and all too much over there, as on the bottom of the map we are seeing Skady looking to find a little something, but nothing really around just yet, as Squash is starting to build himself some stables. Archery rangers want to go in with Hippocon Toxotes. An interesting decision here against the Hades. And we're also seeing Skady doing the same thing with those Hippocon. Interested to see that. Generally speaking, in the Greek mirror, we see Hoplite Toxotes from the Hades, and whatever the Zeus player feels like doing, he tends to do. It seems like Zeus players are normally fairly lost. So it's interesting to see that Squash has dictated to some degree that he wants to go for cavalry and archers here. As a little bit of a change up from whatever the meta is. Meanwhile, we do see the raids coming through. Ninho, incredibly nice reactions yet again over there, as we do see the Hippocon chasing Skady's Hippocon away over here. Meanwhile, raids coming through for Mariano onto these citizen over here. Army Corps, no defense on this one. He might actually end up losing a couple of citizen here. This is a really, really big. Basically, Atlantean in the team games, they cannot. You don't want to lose any citizen. Losing any citizen at all is a really, really bad thing. Shockwave going down. I think he still might be losing a citizen here, as he does indeed do so, as the Herser moving through onto this location here, getting chased away by Army Corps. Ninho a little bit struggling here in terms of score. It wouldn't be a bad idea for his team at this point, specifically the Ra player here, who's I'm almost going to guarantee that Mariano is floating resources to some degree, for them to give him the resources to advance. As we do see a Shifting Sands come down, Mariano stealing a town center away from Army Corps here, ready to put some real pressure onto Army Corps and potentially even putting pressure onto Squash. There are some very, very naked villages, very unsquash-like, to not have a wall over here defending these villages, because they're going to be a problem. I guess there is a wall coming up over here for Squash, so a little bit late on that one, but the town center for Mariano will be coming in as the army coming through onto Army Corps' base, causing a lot of problems. All the units out of position at the moment for Army Corps as he's pulling back here for the time being. Meanwhile, on this position here, Skady still kind of gearing up to move forward. He gets himself the Apollo, but where's he going to go with it? Not really anywhere. Generally in the Greek mirror and in the team game specifically, the Greek players, they want to be saving that underworld for a late game attack, a late game usage in order to potentially kill off a town center and take that for themselves, cut off a trade route and kill off a town center. All those kind of things can be possible with the underworld. You want to be looking for the most value you possibly can. But while this is all going on, Ninho here and TSM player have both kind of fallen behind severely in this game from an economic standpoint. But TSM player's got a really, really scary army here. And Ninho's pulled back into his main base. More longhouses coming up. It looks like he's lost quite a bit of stuff here. He is going through Bragi here. He can pump out the units, but he's about to get the entirety of TSM player's army pushing in to cause some problems, as we do see some walls coming up here. Will he be able to get them up fast enough or not? As we do see the longhouse on the top here has been caught out by TSM players. It's going to take a very, very long time to kill off that longhouse there. As the army coming through here for Army Corps. I'm not sure he can quite win on this fight here. Migdal, Stronghold, Siege Towers, everything else coming through. As we see a plenty vault down for Squash. 14 minutes for Squash. Really, really fast. The question is, how fast is he going to be able to start making himself the Heliopolis? And the answer is, he's going to be making them straight away. Double Fortress. Heliopolis coming out here. We do not see the Forge of Olympus coming through just yet. I'm interested to see if he goes straight for Colossus here and delays that Forge of Olympus or not. Because he's taking villages off of food. He's taking villages not quite off gold just yet. I mean, these villages here will go into this gold mine, but Squash has got a lot of villages on food, and now we do see Forge of Olympus. So he is going to be getting that one, but he is going to be pumping out the Heliopolis very, very fast here. Meanwhile, player has to retreat back, but he's going to be getting this town center on the front. That's going to be a huge, huge help. Though we do see the Ninho army pushing in onto this location, and Ninho too late, doesn't click flaming weapons, forces out the ancestors, and retreats back here behind his wooden walls, away from all of this. Nice play there to get away. Meanwhile, Underworld Passage coming in onto the back of this position here as Squash is going for some blitzkrieg action, but Skady is in hot pursuit of this defense. The problem for Skady is he doesn't have any Heliopolis out, and he has no good way to defend or kill off that Colossus or that Heliopolis here. As Restoration gets dropped down here for Skady to keep everything alive, the Petropolis should probably be targeting down the Underworld Passage of Squash, as the Colossus can come in and actually start taking out those Heliopolis. As we see the bolt coming down over there nicely. Well played from that one. We still don't... I think the other thing that Skady could be doing is Petropolis onto this town center. Thank you for the 5 months, Connie. Merry Christmas, my friend. As the Colossus gets downed there. And more units coming through. Still, like, Mercenary are coming out. They will be able to deal with those Heliopolis. Surprisingly, seeing Mercenary Cavalry coming out, the villagers not repairing the town center up. Mariano going to be in a very, very difficult position here if he loses this town center, because it means no more Mercenary come out, and Squash is in a very, very strong position here. Town center does live with 100 HP there, as the Heliopolis just barely get taken out in time. The villagers starting to repair back up. Underworld Passage goes down, and now Skady can return back onto this position and start putting pressure onto Squash's town center here. But Squash has got the Heliopolis. He's going to be pushing forward here. He's got a very, very low amount of population right now. Lots of wood, lots of gold income here. Meanwhile, taking a look over at Squash here, not Squash, player here, we have seen Ninho, after all that chaos came through. I believe Ninho did click himself that flaming weapons. We missed that one, unfortunately, but he's clicked that flaming weapons. He's pushed through TSM player, and now TSM player is heavily on the back foot. Dealing with these battle balls is so incredibly difficult for Set many, many times, especially when Set is behind. When Set is in front, you can kind of spam out those priests nice and fast, but behind Set, you can find yourself not having the resources to make it work. Meanwhile, over here, Army Corps, he's still trying to break through Mariano's town center on the front here, but is yet to manage to pull this one down. He does make himself a ton of those heavy catapulties. Little known fact is that the catapulties deal bonus damage to siege weapons, which makes them the best counter against siege tower spam from an Egyptian player. Very, very smart. Meanwhile, the battle balls look like they're getting cleaned up here. TSM player kind of looks like he's stabilizing to some degree, but I think the battle balls, there's just too many of them at the moment. Does TSM player have himself funeral rites? He doesn't have it just yet. Meanwhile, on the front here, you can just see that Squash, even after all is said and done, on that failed Underworld, his Heliopolis are causing so much grief for Skady in this position, as they are just cleaning things up really, really nicely here as the Bellerophon comes through. One thing you probably should be considering as Greek is even more than 2 fortresses, 3 fortresses. Everything needs to be everything needs to be Heliopolis, Heliopolis, Heliopolis. As Army Corps does manage to finally break through Mariano's fortified town center here very, very nicely. Meanwhile, in the main base of Ninho, he still hasn't grabbed his third town center. He's had to pull back. He's going for mass cavalry, so he doesn't have the infantry to get himself the town center up, which is probably the most difficult thing for Norse. As the town center falls, the Migdol is going to be falling. Mariano is going to be on the back foot. Skady is Skady is technically losing here because he doesn't have the Heliopolis production out just yet. So Squash should be able to push forward. So in a weird way, this game is kind of falling onto Ninho to get the advantage on his side, as he is technically in front of TSM player here to some degree, but that's just going to be a tough way for Team Skady to play here. Thank you for the 5 months, F. Brito. Appreciate you, my friend. Merry Christmas. Okay, so town center coming back up over here for TSM player as he is kind of stabilized to some degree. Ninho taking his foot off the pedal. Over here, we're still seeing TSM player and Squash duke it out in the center of the map here. The trade route has already started for Squash here. As you can see, his gold is skyrocketing. And this is what I was talking about. You just need more fortresses. We are seeing Squash actually deciding to build himself some hoplites, which makes sense to some degree. He's got to deal with those medium hippocon somehow. There's two ways to beat medium hippocon or cavalry when you're building Heliopolis. One is hoplites, two is towers. You can also build prodromus, but they die really, really fast to both Heliopolis and, well, not Heliopolis so much, but Toxoid, you kill off the prodromus the Heliopolis fairly fast. No, the prodromus fairly fast. As Ninho does hit the Mythic Age, he's gone through Winter, through Tier, for whichever reason. I cannot explain this one. I think Hell would have been a much, much better choice. But he will be slowing down the economy of Squash. He will be slowing down the economy of Army Corps. And more importantly here, Ninho is going to be getting himself Fenris Wolves. He needs to make this. He's got 0 favor, which is not where he wants to be, as the army is searching around for something to kill. The problem is, look at Army Corps' army. 17 heavy capabilities. Look at Ninho's army. 10 raiding cavalry. A difficult time ahead here for Ninho's army, as the Aranos units pushing forward, going to prevent this town center from coming up. Mariano kind of in the middle of nowhere here with this Migdol stronghold and his army. He needs to be over here helping out Ninho as best as he possibly can, because there's a little bit of a stalemate happening on this position here between Skady and Squash, as Mariano looks to be the big boy in this team of Skady, Mariano, and Ninho, is feeding away as he should be feeding away. But I think maybe it would be a better option to some degree for Mariano to just grab this town center and prevent Team TSM player Army Corps and Squash from grabbing it. As the army pushes through, the Axemen, they don't have any upgrades at all due to not having Horus. I mean, when I say upgrades at all, I mean no Axe of Vengeance, no double bonus damage against palaces or anything. As the army of Ninho just distracting as best as it can. TSM player dropping some walls down. I love those walls to keep those villagers safe in this corner, as the army's still chasing around. The thing is, the battle walls can basically just turn around, take this fight. The raiding cavalry can leave because there's no, well, there are priests, but if you just targets the priest down, you'll win this fight really, really easily. Meanwhile, TSM player does have himself funeral rites. Over on this position, the village is going to be retreating back into the Migdol stronghold as the Son of Osiris starting to zap away at these units, but there's really not a whole lot here for Mariano, as he's going to attempt to micro. We do see the priest over on the back here. Look at the Son of Osiris taking down those stiff valiant birds. He does so much damage over there. Beautiful play there from Mariano. Great micro. Meanwhile, the town center coming up on the front here for TSM players. Hit the Mythic Age. I believe he went through Horus. No, he's gone through Thoth here. Bit of a surprise. Thoth, great choice in a long game, because getting that extra upgrade, Book of Thoth, little known upgrade that comes with Thoth, gives you a bunch of extra resources, a bunch of extra income on your villages. It's a 10% increase to wood, gold, and farms. Really, really strong. As the Migdol stronghold continuing to pump units out over here. As you do see Squash still pushing forward, still making siege, Toxotes. The stalemate is basically here. Army Corps now hitting the Mythic Age through Helios, and this is where things start getting very, very scary if your name is Ninho. We are seeing watchtowers coming up all over the place here from Mariano. Love that play preemptively. This is great teamwork here from Mariano. He knows that Skady and Squash, even though the score differential is gigantic here, it's basically a stalemate. You can't really push through either of these players. The trade route's set up here for both players. They're both basically just as equal as each other to some degree. The player who can build more Colossus is going to be able to kill off the opposing player's Heliopolis, but we aren't seeing either player build them, which kind of means that there's a big stalemate happening. So I think I'm a bit surprised to see. Well, Skady's building Colossus, so that's good. And Skady does have the advantage of having Perseus, which kills off Colossus much faster than the Bellerophon does, for example. As the army's still pushing forward, Mariano knows that Army Corps is going to be looking for a Vortex here. Which means he needs to put as much pressure onto Army Corps as he possibly can, because he cannot chase the Vortex around. The other thing he could do is start putting towers up around this town center and start defending over here as well. Alternatively, so too could Ninho do the same thing with Mariano attributing some resources. As we do see the Baluster up here for Ninho trying to defend here. This is a very, very difficult thing to push through for most players, but with access to Meteor, one big Meteor fire can take out all of those very, very slow to train, very hard to set up Baluster. Nice play there from TSM Play. Going to give him some advantage here. Give him some time to push through here as the Mariano Ra still trying to break through onto this position here. One thing we haven't seen very much just yet from Mariano, and also from Skady, mind you, and also from Squash, are some side builds. The thing is here that there's all of this open space for both players to start sinking their teeth in, to start breaking through onto these positions, but hasn't happened just yet. Huge shout out to Yuki Eddie there with the raiding party. Welcome everyone from, I believe that's Age of Empires 4. I wonder if my shout out command works here. Yuki Eddie. Yeah, oh, sorry, Age of Empires 3. That's what I meant to say. I thought Age of Empires 3 and I said Age of Empires 4. Anyways, welcome. Hope you had a great stream. As Squash still breaking through here. You can see these Colossus, they're not quite targeting the right units. You have to be microing these. You've got to be getting your own Toxotes to target down the heroes and ensure that your Colossus is on the enemy Heliopolis. That's kind of the late game minigame in the Greek Mirror. As we see, look at the catapult that are out now for TSM Player. TSM Player is actually really, really good at this kind of play style with Set, and he's great at just bulldozing down bases, and he does so by just pumping out those catapult, ensuring he gets them all out, doesn't allow auto queue to play the game for him all too much, ensures he gets the catapults out and he's able to push. But Mariano, he is still making grounds over here as the catapult, there's not really anything, well, I tell a lie, there's a catapulty there, as Army Corps keeps his town center alive. He's trying to push back. There's not a whole lot of stuff here for Mariano, which is mostly, well, I guess he's not full trade, but he's got a decent amount of trade here. He's probably sitting at 100 villages to some degree. There's just not that many military units here for Mariano at the moment. As he's trying to pump those towers up. He does have the Baluster Tower. He does have the sun-dried mud brick there as well. So that's going to be a big help. As the catapult breaking through the fortified town center over here. That one's going to be going down. Ninho's still in a very difficult position. We are seeing Mariano pumping those Medjai mercenary cavalry over onto this position, but they're hitting this position with around about, I'd say, somewhere between 15 and 20 seconds of lifespan. So they're going to be only getting off a small amount of damage before falling. Though that being said, Mariano does have infinite gold here at the moment. But We do see the Bellerophon coming through here, going to attempt to pick off some trade here. It's a nice idea to raid with Bellerophon, but you do have to micro it to ensure that you're continuously hitting your jumps so that you're getting that 100 damage, because those Camel Caravans, 115 HP, it takes a while for the Bellerophon to actually pick them off. And you do also have to ensure that the jump is not jumping into a unit that's walking away from Bellerophon, otherwise Bellerophon will indeed miss that one, as it looks like Army Corps, he's dealt with this. He still has access to his vortexes, which means he can still teleport onto, say, this location, this location. You can also attack this town center here of Mariano. No defenses here. Lots of difficulties coming for Team Skady here, as Skady's still defending on this position. He's got himself his Heliopolis out. He's defended nicely. He's completely fine here. And Squash, he hasn't made all too much work with his advantage. He hasn't found any significant advantage out of his economic boom. But you'd have to imagine that the fact that Squash got this boomed and he sent those resources over to TSM Player, that's why TSM Player is in the position that he's in, as he's going to be breaking through here nicely. Catapult breaking through as well. We see an attempt at more hill forts here as Ninho is trying his best to build these all up on the back. This is kind of the hardest part about playing Norse and the hardest part about defending these sorts of positions here, as the Catapult's still coming through. TSM Player only with watchtowers, a bit of a mistake. They definitely want to be getting those guard towers out. Meanwhile, on this position, we do see an attempt at a side build, but it has been thwarted by Army Corps. Nice play from him there. As the barracks going down, see the fire siphons pushing forward, and now we see, in classic community team game fashion, we see a wonder coming up, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of what is a commonplace here in the team games, is if you're losing, put a wonder down. That's how it works. I'm pretty sure TSM Player could have put a wonder down ages ago, but, oh, not TSM Player, but Squash could have. But he's currently on the back foot, so I don't think he really wants to. As the problem really for Skady and Team Mariano is that this wonder going up here, he's basically safe from this position. He's basically safe from this position. But TSM Player is going to be able to break through here and march all the way this way over to this wonder. And we'll see if he's going to be able to make it there or not, or if that wonder is going to be game over. I'm still going to say it. I believe that every single player in the game should increase the Wonders timer by 2 minutes. If it's 2 players, it should be at 10 minutes. If it's 4 players, it should be at like 15 minutes. If it's 6 players, it should be at 20 minutes. If it's 8 players, it should be at 25 minutes. That's what I think it should be. Wonder should cost 100 favor. That's another reasonable way to make it work. However, certain civilizations gather favor significantly faster than other civilizations, so it's not a really fair change. But Wonder, we do see a great point there in the chat. Wonder is pretty useless against Vortex. All you got to do is make yourself a ton of fire siphons. We do see a sky passage, which is another way to play around it if you can sneak a citizen in there. But a bunch of fire siphons, and then you just make yourself use that vortex on the wonder, live the dream, and you can take that wonder down very, very quickly here. As Squash still struggling to push through here. They've just had a fairly consensual stalemate here, as neither player has really been able to get through. So we do see the wonder is now up, and we'll see what Mariano is going to try and do to defend this. Now, one way to play around Vortex is to wall up and prevent any sort of line of sight onto the wonder. The other way to play around Vortex is to spam buildings around the wonder, and just like big boxes of buildings around the wonder to prevent the Vortex from coming in anywhere close to the wonder. Those are the two kind of plays where that's concerned. As we see another palace coming up, Army Corps still breaking through. We are yet to see TSM Player significantly push through here. He's actually slowed down for some reason here, as he has managed to prevent the town center from going back up, but he hasn't been pushing this as fast as would normally be the case. As Fire Siphon breaking through, we see more military buildings coming down. As look at this from Armiko. I love this play. He's got 6 hero citizen on the front line here, spamming buildings out. And what he can do effectively is he can just say, if he doesn't have resources, he can just say, hey, Squash, you've got all the income. Can you just send me some gold? Just send me some gold. And Squash can be the man giving him the resources to pump these buildings down and live the dream. Because Squash is just full economy. Alternatively, TSM player can do exactly the same thing. He's got a lot of gold income as well as the Pharaoh empowering that market on the back here. How much gold is he getting? He's getting 124 gold per trip, which is a significant amount. As towers coming up around this position, barracks coming up as well. One thing that Mariano needs to do is needs to make spearmen around here, because what's going to happen is if Army Corps does decide to use his Vortex, it's going to be predominantly Fire Siphon. So if there's like 20, 30 spearmen there, he's going to be able to take those Fire Siphon down really, really fast. As the town center does fall, Fire Siphon going to be breaking through here. As the Heliopolis breaking in, we do see Squash is onto the top town center here with a handful of Heliopolis. As Skady going to bring his villagers over to shank this down. Should be able to deal with those fairly simply. He's got plenty of towers here to defend himself. As TSM player still struggling to make his way through here. Ninjo's doing a great job of defending off of one town center against an Egyptian on 4 town centers here. As we'll see if he's going to be able to break it through here, as the citizen going to be grabbing the town center. 6 hero citizen on a town center. That shoots up not really as fast as I would have thought it would shoot up. Not really as fast as I thought it would have shot up, considering how fast, like, I don't know, how many, this would be like 18 villages, maybe like 12 villages on a pharaoh or something. That, a little bit surprising. But we do see some chariot archers from Mariano, still not fully upgraded here. Going to attempt to slow this one down. But Army Corps, he's got fully upgraded citizen here, all the upgrades. Look at the armor. 57% hack armor, 60% pierce armor, 243 HP. They're buff units there. That's why you use these on the front line. It's not because they necessarily build faster, which they do, but it's because they don't die. They've got so much HP. They're like a tanky elephant or something. So we do see some mummies sitting onto this position, more towers coming up here. There's still time left to take that wonder out, as TSM player going to be grabbing this town center, going to be going up to 5 town centers. That's 200 population, I believe, to play with for TSM player, as he's going to continue moving forward here. As the hero citizens pushing forward, getting the palace up over here. We do see some houses getting taken down here as well, as the Fire Siphon going to be going after the main town center here. Mariano in some deep trouble here as the villagers coming through. This is a great defense against villagers to push through and take out the Fire Siphon, utilizing the Heka Gigantes to bash those villagers away. Absolutely love that play from Army Corps there, as Squash still not breaking through here, still can't quite kill off Skady, as Skady is just defending there for eternity, as it seems. As TSM player now breaking through over here, going to be able to take down the hill fort and everything else over there. That center is down. As, I mean, how much siege does Army Corps actually have here? He's sitting at 163 population. Lots and lots of spare population here for more Fire Siphon. He doesn't necessarily need to build them just directly on the front, because he does have the Vortex. 5 minutes remaining on that wonder for Mariano over here. As we do see Ninho coming over here, putting up some military buildings. There's plenty of space here for a Vortex. There's not really a whole lot of units here as well. Mariano's got he's got 5,000 gold in the bank, so that's going to be able to, he's going to be able to pump Mercenary for a significant amount of time, but he's now shorted himself on population as his houses are getting taken down. This is always a tough thing for Egyptian players to deal with, because the houses take quite a long time to actually rebuild. Even though they're free, 27 seconds is a long time to build compared to everyone else's 14 seconds. So it's always good to take out an Egyptian villager, Egyptian house. As the Migdol stronghold does end up falling down, their palace coming up. More of the Fire Siphons rolling in here for Army Corps. We must have so many here, as we still haven't seen any Vortex in. We've got more towers. Towers don't really stop the Fire Siphon. I do believe Axeman is not the right call here for Mariano. He needs Spearmen. He needs nothing but Spearmen here, as Mercenary Cavalry coming out. Another way to play this would be to just spam Mercenary Infantry and just stay at the max amount of Mercenary Infantry here if you can. As it looks like the trade route is gonna kind of come to an end here. He could send it upwards to this town center, but look at this. Now Squash, he's able to take down the forward fortified town center here as well. This TSM player has grabbed this town center. He's now on 6 as the catapult is going to start breaking through here. As TSM player has managed to get a couple of his catapults onto this position, but still not really significantly damaged the Migdol, the Wonder here. Thank you for the 6 months. Neat Chawa. Appreciate you, my friend. Merry Christmas. As the siege continues to move forward and the defense has started to mount. Villagers in here. We do see the Vortex coming in. How many Fire Siphons are going to be here on this position? Army Corps staring down this town, this Wonder here with 12 Fire Siphons, trying to take this one down as fast as he possibly can. As the villagers repairing it back up, but too little, too late. Skady resigns, Ninho resigns, and as the Wonder falls, Mariano resigns. The winners being Squash, TSM player, and Army Corps. A stellar game there by Team Squash. Really, really nice. Economic carry here from Squash, keeping TSM player in the game by feeding him through, getting Skady on the back foot, forcing that Underworld out nice and early. Unfortunately, he didn't get the win where he probably should have been able to, but he couldn't quite make that Underworld play work as he was attacking an Egyptian town center. If he was attacking Skady's town center, no mercenary there, probably would have had a better time of it, if you ask me, but he went after the Egyptian town center and didn't quite work out for him, which allowed the Wonder attempt here from Mariano. Just didn't quite work out as TSM player. Too far ahead over here. Army Corps too fast. And Team Squash gets the dub. If you guys enjoyed this one, it's been a while since we've casted a team game. Team games are very, very fun to watch. If you did enjoy it, please remember to hit that like button, hit that follow button on the Twitch, and if you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.